Hi there, it's Kathy with Be Creative with Kathy, and today I want to show you how I made this crisscross pocket card. So I'll tell you a while ago. First of all, the crisscross pocket card has been around for a long time, and I can't even tell you how long. I know I've been a demonstrator for 15 years, and I've been stamping for probably maybe 20, exaggeration, but anyway, for a long time, and the crisscross pocket card has been around for a while. But last year, Brandy Cox had an event, and I went there. I was there. It was virtual, and she showed us the crisscross pocket card, and I've been wanting to make one and waiting for the perfect opportunity. And then I saw a lady take this, and I'm going to show you in the catalog. I think it's easier to see. Take this designer series paper right here. It's the specialty that has the foil in it, and she added a little bit of color to it, and it was just beautiful. So I've been waiting. I wanted to do something with that, and I thought the crisscross pocket card is a great way to show off designer series paper. So I could show off this designer series paper with a little bit of color. I also used these foil sheets, and that's why I'm showing you in the catalog, because I think it's easier to see without the glare, the foil sheets in the catalog. And then I'm also going to use this black and white designer series paper down here, because I know we're all excited about the new catalog, but don't forget the mini catalog is still in effect until the end of June. So, okay, let's go ahead. Let me show you what I did. So first of all, we're going to cut some paper, and I have a full sheet here, 8.5 by 11 of Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to first of all score it. So I'm going to put the 11-inch at the top and score it in half, which is 5.5, and with that light blade on my paper trimmer, I'm going to just score my paper down the middle at 5.5. Then we're going to cut it in half. So I'm going to put it at 4 1/4, and then using the dark blade, I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper in half. And now we have 2 pieces of cardstock, and now we're going to use both of these on this card. So I like to fold my cardstock so that the bump of the score line is in the inside. So I'm going to cut mine a little bit different, but I'm going to take this score line, and you can see the valley side of my score line is up, and I'm going to put the score into the groove, or line it up with the groove of my paper trimmer. I'll move it up a little bit so you can, let's see if that's better. But I'm going to put the fold there and this point lined up right with the groove, so I can cut my cardstock at an angle like that. Now this is a scrap, we don't need that anymore, but now our card looks like that. We're going to do the exact same to the other one. Oh, I'm going to turn it over, and now I have the bump of the fold line is up. I'm going to lay it on those, or on that groove of my paper trimmer, and cut that same angle. So now, this is scrap, remember, and put that away. So now when we fold it, we'll have the mountain on the inside of our fold on both pieces. Okay, I'm going to put this away for now, but we'll still use this in just a minute. So I'm going to take and fold on those score lines, and making sure that it's lined up at the bottom here. Get my bone folder, get a nice crisp fold here, like this. Now, if you have I'm going to call it a rough spot with your cutting, I'm going to just flatten that out with my bone folder and make it look nice. Normally I would put that on the inside, but since we're cutting on both, we don't have that opportunity. So then I'm going to fold this one the exact same way. And now we have our crisscross card, and it is exactly that easy. Now I'm going to make sure that which side, because maybe this side it folds better with this one on the top. Does that make sense? Or if it folds better this way. And on this card, I think I'm going to go with this way. I think it looks a little bit better when I lay it together this way. So I'm going to just take this one aside and bring in some liquid glue. I'm going to use the liquid glue in case I need to like shift it at the very end or move it around a little bit to make sure it looks good. And you can do that with that liquid glue. You have a few seconds before it dries, I guess is the word, or adheres permanently. So I'm going to take some liquid glue here, lay this one right back there on top, stand them up, fold them, make sure it looks pretty good, and looky there, now we have one card that has that crisscross in front. Ta-da! Okay, so now let's go ahead to decorate it, okay? So then, like I said, I'm going to use this really pretty designer series paper. Let me get it here. It's not being very cooperative. Like this, and you can see that copper foil. I think it's rose gold foil. To be sure, I know this is Blushing Bride paper, but I really can't even tell you what I think it's rose gold. I'm gonna quit trying to guess. I'm gonna just move on. So I have a blend here. This is a dark Flirty Flamingo, and on this paper you have to make sure you have something underneath, because you know how you can usually see the color from the blends marker through your paper. In this case, it's going to go through to this one, and I'm going to just take and color all those little flowers. And you guys know how much I like to color. If you've watched my video, I complain about it all the time. This is not my favorite thing at all, but I colored all those little flowers with the dark Flirty Flamingo, and then I came in with a dark Granny Green Apple and just colored all those little leaves, and there's a lot of them. And then when it's all said and done, and by the miracle of TV, it looks like that. Now look how pretty that is compared to this one. I think it's just beautiful when you add a little bit of color to your cardstock. Okay, so now I need to cut this in half so that I can decorate the front of my card. And did I tell you the dimensions of this are 5 1/4 by 4? It's just a regular layer on the front. But if you miss the dimensions, you're always welcome to go to my blog, Be Creative with Kathy, and I have all the measurements on there too. So the other piece, we're going to cover half of this with this piece here, and the other piece we want to cover with some foil like this. Now I cut this foil for my sample card, and lo and behold, if you look, I cut it the wrong way. You have to cut your paper the opposite way between these two sheets to make one card. So I'm going to cut this one, and I'm going to decorate this side of my card this time with this paper, so I can already use this foil paper that I've cut this way for this side. I hope that makes sense. So when you're cutting your paper, just beware that you have to cut these the opposite ways, so they're the opposite triangles for your card. Okay, so I'm going to just check and make sure. I want to cut it from this point to this point. So let me bring in my paper trimmer again. I'm going to get all my stuff out of the way first. Lay my cardstock in there one more time just to check. I want it on this side, so I'm going to cut from this corner down to this corner. The other things you have to make sure when you're cutting corner to corner is if you have a paper that is directional or has a top and a bottom, make sure that you cut your paper so that your directions are the right way and not upside down. Okay, and I'll show you at the end of my video. I have some cards to show you that I've done with some directional paper, and I can show you what I'm talking about there. I have lots and lots of samples to show you. Okay, so when Brandy did her card, she embossed this layer here, and I really liked it. And then I noticed that Rachel Tessman just did one, and she just used the other side of the paper. So I have some samples of that I'll show you at the end of the video too. So you might want to stick around and see exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm going to go ahead now and use my mini die cut machine to emboss my vellum, and I'm going to use these cute little Meadow Moments embossing folders. And let me show you a little bit about the embossing with the mini machine. When you buy your mini machine, it comes with all of these plates. Now we always use the #1 platform. When you're cutting is when you'll use the #2 cutting pads. We don't need those. If you have a 3D embossing folder, which Stampin' Up! Right now, we don't even have a 3D embossing folder for the mini machine, you would use #4, so we won't be using that one. But if you're going to emboss now, you're going to want to use the #3 plate too. So I'm going to take my folder, and I want to make sure that I have the large part of my cardstock or my velvet foil in the folder, and I don't need to worry about this little corner down here because he's going to be covered up. I want to make sure that my Stampin' Up! Logo is up, or I can see it and the paper at the same time. but I'm going to lay that in there like that. Make my little sandwich here. And then just run that through my folder or my machine, just like that. So now you know how to use your mini machine with the embossing folders and which plates to use. Although if you get confused, it does say on your plates which one to use. Okay, so now this piece, look how pretty that looks. I don't know if you can see it because of the glare. Oh, there we go. Looky there. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach this and this now to our card front. So I'm going to make sure this one's going to go this way. So I'm going to put a little adhesive on the back. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat and see how I said that marker does go through the paper, and you can see it here further. But to protect my surface, that's why I put the paper down. Okay, a little bit of glue on the back of this, and I'm going to make sure I get right up into these corners, especially on this designer series paper, because it's going to be the front of our card, and I want it to look nice and I want it to be adhered. So a little bit of liquid glue there. I'm going to leave this in here, and then we're going to lay this right here and get it squared or centered with all the borders the same, and lay that down, and look how pretty that is. Okay, now let's do the other side. Okay, my cat decided to jump up in the middle of my, okay, he's happy in the window. Let's go on. So I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive, the same thing on this side. And glue that to here. And now this one's going to be tucked under, so it's not quite as important. But this one, you want to make sure if you have any glue on your hands or anything, see I have a little bit of glue here, I'm going to make sure I don't touch that, and then touch my foil because I want my foil nice and clean. And this is going to be hidden behind the crisscross anyway, so it's okay. Okay, so now it looks like that. Look how pretty it is with that embossed folder and that colored designer series paper. Okay, let's go ahead and put these down now. So I'm going to use, where is it? My tear and tape, and I'm going to lay it as close to the bottom here as I can, all the way across. And then I'm going to actually use my scissors so I can get it cut exactly the same, and that way it's going to lay flat on my card and I won't have any problems, and the front of my card will be adhered really pretty. And then we'll do the same thing to the other side. Down at the close to the bottom as I can, and then trim this. Okay, use my bone folder and make sure that's nice and stuck down. Then I'm going to put my foil side down first, and with my take a pick tool here, and get that adhesive off the back, or that this thing, and lay that down, making sure it's flush here, flat together. And then this side, release paper. There we go. I'm going to take the release paper off the back and then lay that down. And now look how pretty our card is. And now, to be honest with you, I can't decide if this looks upside down, but I think it looks okay the way it is. Because if you look at this one, yeah, I think I'm going to be happy it's okay the way it is. So let's go ahead and decorate the pocket part now. So we have to have something to put in there. So I have a piece of Blushing Bride. It's just the same color as the back of my designer series paper, and I have a piece of Whisper White. Now normally these pieces would be cut at 5 1/4 by 4, but since we have that 1/4 inch of tear and tape down here, I've cut this at 5 1/4 by 3 3/4 and 5 1/5 by 3 1/2. But let's go ahead and stamp on this white one. And I'm going to bring in the sentiment that says, "Friends like you mean more every year." I love this font. I think it's really pretty for this type of card. And I want something long and skinny here at the top. So I'm going to just take that, I'm going to ink it up this way in fact. And I'm just using black Memento ink. Let's see if I can get it straight up here. Whoop, not upside down though. Let's stamp it this way. Just set it down, let that ink sink into the paper. Ooh, don't you love that font? I think it's really pretty. And then from the Timeless Tulips, I'm going to just take this Happy Birthday and stamp that a little bit lower and turn this into a birthday card. I never have enough birthday cards. So I'm going to stamp it down here so that it's hidden until they pull this out of the pocket. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and tape this to my Blushing Bride. Let me find my stamp and seal. And just put that right here onto my Blushing Bride. And look how pretty that is when you take that, brother, and stick it into your pocket. And it hides that Happy Birthday, and it has just that quote there at the top. Now, like I said, I took this designer series paper. You can tell I've been having fun. I colored the flowers with that same Flirty Flamingo, some Granny Apple Green with my Stampin' Blends, and some So Saffron. And it ends up looking like this. And then I fussy cut that one little flower. Now, when you're coloring your flowers, just let it be known that when you color, you might see the paper on the back, the black and white on the back, but as soon as your colors dry, it doesn't show anymore. So don't worry when you're coloring your designer series paper. Then I took these are my Hippo dies. I love these layering dies right here, and I ran it through my die cut machine and just cut out a white like this. That's from the smallest. And with some dimensionals again, I'm going to put my flower here onto my little white cutout. I don't know if that one has a shape name. It's not a triangle, it's not a square, it's a pretty. Just like that. And then to put this to the front of my card, because I don't want any adhesive to stick to my pocket part or the part that goes in my pocket, I'm going to lay my dimensionals here. Yep, and then I'm going to lay one at the bottom of my flower here. And that way I know that it's not going to stick to this piece that I want to be able to take out of my pocket. And lay it just like that. And look how pretty my birthday card is. So as I promised, I have some other samples. So I have the one I made now, the sample card that I had. Let me put some stuff away and get it out of the way, and I'll show you some other cards. So here's another one using the same format, only this one I just used a double flower out of that designer series paper. So then it didn't need that white piece in the background. Look how pretty that is. I used some of that Garden Wishes designer series paper. I think it's the Dragonfly paper. I think it's called Garden Wishes, but look how pretty that came with the butterfly in the end. And this one, I put the Happy Birthday on the front and then just stamped a simple butterfly there on the inside, like that. And that's the Blackberry Bliss with the bumblebee. I thought that one turned out really pretty using the front and the back of the same sheet of designer series paper. And then here's one. This is more of that black and white designer series paper. This is one side. This is the other side. On this one, I just took some of that really pretty real red satin ribbon and tied it around it. And then I used the daisy punch to put that flower in the center. Now, let me tell you another thing. If you can see this one here, I used the fine tip glue pen to give that center a little bit of shine. Before I put the fine tip glue pen on there, I colored it with my real red blends. And then after I put the fine tip and after it dried, it kind of looked orange. And then I didn't like that. So I just took my blends marker and colored right over that fine tip glue that had dried. And it looks really nice now. It's a true red rather than looking orange like it did before. So just know that if you need to color the glue from your fine tip glue pen, you can with the blends after it dries. This was one I made for a friend of mine. Her name's Bree. Her birthday is tomorrow. She probably won't get her card on time because I mailed it out today. But this is one of those ones I talked about if your paper has a, it's dimensional, so it has to go up and down. Just be careful when you cut your paper that you cut the side, this side, because this is the back side of the Designer Series paper, that your Designer Series paper's going the right way. And then the last one I have is just a pretty, that new polished pink. And it's the same thing with the ribbon, the black and white paper, the front and the back. And I colored that paper with my polished pink and my Granny Green Apple blends. So there you go. So just, there's all the cards. Just don't forget that even though we're all excited about the new catalog coming out tomorrow, that the mini catalog still has a bunch of really great products in there. Also, exciting, remember when the new catalog does come out tomorrow, if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. But they're also running the host special and the join special. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Again, if you need the measurements, they'll be on my blog in just a few minutes. That's becreativewithkathy.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.